Hey guys, welcome back. Now this is episode 2. This is a brand new thing that we're doing. It's called From Vet to Vetrepreneur, and what we do, we're spotlighting different veterans and veterans that are business owners. We are sponsored by the Warrior Council, and we'll talk about that later. But guys, we're going to be talking about stuff that is so very vital. Is everybody needs to have a website, but you need to have a good website. And you need to have a very fast website and a very easy website. So we're going to be talking about that with my friend Ronald. Brother, my brother, what's going on? How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Glad to have you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, man. I've been looking, I've been looking forward to hanging out and talking to you a little bit. I'm new to the tech world, so I'm still learning about websites and sales funnels, and I didn't know what any of this was. So first, the one question I do have to ask is, what is the biggest myth that people think about websites?
The biggest myth, I would have to say that basically basically my focus is because I focus on service-based businesses. So I believe that a lot of businesses that should have websites don't have websites. And that's my main focus. They're trying to make people aware of the power of the internet. Because a lot of people, you got your mechanics, you got your roofers, your electricians, those are very cash heavy businesses. But you got all these box cutters and, franchises that are taking their business, and they don't understand that people go online now to search for those things. Like I think 60% of everybody goes online before they go to a place. So while they may be okay right now, 5 years from now down the road, they may not have a business anymore. So the idea that you don't need a website is one of the biggest myths.
No, and I love that because, even if we go out to dinner, we look at how many stars it got. We look at the website, we look at the menu before we go there. So I totally get what you're about. So tell us a little bit about, where you're from, where you grew up, and then tell us a little bit about your military career.
Okay, well, I'm from a place called Scottsdale, Georgia. It's a small suburb out of Atlanta, in the Atlanta metro area. My grandfather was a construction worker, so I grew up in a pretty well-to-do home. My home and the outside of my home wasn't the best community. Kind of went down over time, but as a child, I grew up. I grew up in a 6-bedroom house. My granddaddy drove Cadillacs and things like that. So I didn't necessarily come from a not having things, and it didn't take me till I was older to realize that my friends, because I didn't realize what poverty was actually growing up. I honestly didn't understand it. And, so I was always friendly and humble. I spent a lot of time growing up with him. So he was a pastor, so I spent a lot of time in church, and that's kind of what kind of guides me to this day. And other than that,
I love your story, because my mother was an addict. And but now, thank God, she's clean over 27 years. So, but you didn't grow up, your family was, your dad had issues, your mom had issues when you were coming up, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, my dad, he was a star athlete in college. And like a lot of athletes, he got to college and couldn't, I guess, a lot of pressure and things. So he kind of fell into drugs and ended up getting kicked out of college. And he joined the military, but he went for like 1 year or so, and he ended up getting kicked out. And from that point, he kind of the drugs led him into a life of crime. So he kind of was out of the picture. That's why I always mention my grandfather first. He kind of took that father figure role for me. And my mom, she basically kind of grew up with my grandfather as well. She worked for the IRS for a while, but she only had an apartment like 1 year in her life, never had to pay a bill, and just kind of went through a depression herself after my grandmother died, and she never recovered, and she took to drugs and streets and alcohol too. She didn't have to work or do anything. So then at a certain point, one of my other aunties, she stepped in and kind of raised me and kind of kept me in a good environment and kind of kept me out of that community that I was in and around, kind of helped me kind of keep growing and expanding my horizons, so to say.
So now, for me, like when I'm growing up, my escape was reading. I love to read. I always have about 8 or 9 books going at one time, even to this day. What was your escape when you were a child growing up?
I was an explorer. I read a lot too. Like again, my granddad had a a wall that was a bookshelf. So I read a lot as a child, and that gave me, I had a very creative mind. Like I would go out, if I saw a car, I would go out into the yard and I would try to build a car, you know, and I would do things like that. So I was always creative, building, drawing, writing. That was where all my outlets. We had a piano. I would sit down and play the piano, like, you know, things of that nature. So just always kind of been creativity. Like by the time I was in high school, I took every art class. I didn't even get credit for the last one. So.
Now, were you an athlete in school also?
No, a lot of my cousins were, but I was not. I was actually in ROTC, and I enjoyed that more than I guess sports. And like I said, I got a chance to actually be on the rifle team, and I got a chance to be the captain of the rifle team as well. And so, I excelled in that, and that's what kind of pushed me towards my military career a little later on in my early 20s when I was trying to figure out what to do.
And you were like number 62 or 63 in the nation and rifle?
Yes, I was. I took our team to the NRA National Championships in Wilmington, North Carolina. I believe it was my junior year, and I placed number 63 in the nation.
Awesome. That's amazing. So now what you decided to join the military, what branch, why, and tell us your recruiting story.
Okay. I was Army Reserve, and the why was because, like I said, I grew up not really wanting for much, but then on my dad's side of the family, they were very military. Like my grandmother had a wall with all her brothers, her sisters, you know, even my dad. I have an uncle. So, and I thought to myself, once my granddaddy passed, what am I going to do with my life? And I said, well, I want to do something different. And I didn't have any role models because he was my role model. So I said, well, he never got to experience this. So let me go see what that's like. And I already had the aptitude because of the ROTC and things of that nature. So eventually I just found myself one day after he died, I actually was staying in his house alone, 6-bedroom house. I'm like 23, didn't have to pay bills, you know, but the kind of friends I had and the life that I was living, I wasn't proud of myself, and I felt like he wouldn't be proud of me. So I eventually just made a decision, and I called up the recruiter and I said, hey, I want to join. And 2 months later, I was just gone. A lot of people didn't even know where I was. Like I just disappeared to them. Actually, they were like, what happened to him? But I was gone. You know, I just knew there was more to life, man. And the
So you joined the Army National Guard?
I joined the Army Reserves.
So what job did you eventually take?
25 Victor, Combat Documentation Production Specialist. It's basically videography and photography.
Okay. So actually that gave you a skill that you can use after you got out. For like me, I was a tank commander. There's not many tank commander skills that you can use when you get out. Not many people are looking for tank commanders, but at least you took a skill that you can use when you got out. So how many years did you do in the reserves?
I did 5 total. I got out 1 year early because I moved my family to Orlando. And I actually did 1 year of active duty where I got assigned to UCOM in Stuttgart, Germany. But being there, we actually got to go to about 12 countries in the space of a year.
Did you ever get deployed? Did you go to any war zones or anything?
The closest I went to a war zone was going to Israel.
Okay.
Actually, we were trying to go to Afghanistan, and we were like pushing them to let us go because we would sometimes go to film other troops that were being deployed, and for us to know that they were going to the front line and we were still here, it made us feel a certain way. We wanted to go. We wanted to be a part of the fight and not just be, you know, behind the camera. We wanted to be a part of the fight. So we really did try to push even some of my sergeants. But that's as far as they would let us go. And I think I mentioned to you that also we did get a chance to go to Russia, and that was pretty crazy at the time. And they literally told us once we land, at any moment we could be arrested. So I wasn't necessarily in a combat zone, but some pretty dangerous situations, I would say. Like even being in Israel, there was a time where we were with Israel intelligence, and like one of my friends' laptops got hacked. So we had to literally scan our hotel rooms with night vision goggles every day. We had to be walked around with armed escorts. You know, we actually got to go on a trip to Jerusalem, and it was really crazy because we're all in uniform, and there were cars swerving up against our bus, and we're thinking, oh my God, these are suicide bombers. We're finna die. So maybe not combat, but just being in American military comes with that kind of, you know, pressure in certain situations.
All right. So before we talk about why you got out and your mission from then, I want to thank our sponsors, Marshall from the Vetrepreneur Tribe and the Warrior Council. If you guys don't know what the Warrior Council is, it's a group of people that are business owners that are trying to lift each other up. Where if I need help, I know if I need help with websites, I can go to Ronald. If I need help with certain parts of other businesses, I can go to this person. It's pretty much a mastermind for veterans. So definitely, if you guys are interested in becoming a vetrepreneur, a veteran that wants to start a business, the smartest thing you can do is join Warrior Council. So, and I'll leave a link later and we'll talk about that. So now, okay, you took to the military really good. You know, you're enjoying it. Why did you get out and why didn't you stay in?
Okay, when I came back from active duty, and like you mentioned earlier, I had skills, but I didn't know how to use them. I didn't know anyone else from the military. So when I got home, I was married. I met my wife. She was my wife then. I met her in Lithuania and I moved her. So I had a wife. And then the year after that, she got pregnant and I couldn't even find a job and I didn't even know who to call. And then I would call my old unit and I was trying to do some things with them and they would say, well, you can come to this or we got that. And it was to a point where I lost my apartment. I lost everything. And I was living in a hotel room with my pregnant wife. And I'm just trying to do odd jobs to make ends meet. So I'm trying to go to drills. I was actually actively looking for a deployment to go to or something like that. And it just became to a point where I had to make a decision to focus more on my family than the military. Like I enjoyed the military so much, but I had to make, I had to put my child first and do what was best for me. And relocating to Orlando was at the time was the best thing for me to do.
You know, now like our friend in the group, Sergeant Nick, talks about, you know, once you step off base, the military doesn't give a shit about you. Your phone stops ringing. You know, you sometimes you become a man, you know, or a woman, you know, on an island, and you feel alone. Now you're not getting paid. You don't have money coming in. You don't have a mission, and sometimes, like for me, I didn't know who I was, so I totally was lost. What was your transitioning out of the military like?
Pretty much the same feeling because, as I said, as my father's side of the family had a strong military background. I wasn't military background, excuse me. I wasn't as close to them as I was my mom's side of the family. So no one around me understood my experiences. Here I am. I've seen 12 countries. I've done these things, and when we were deployed, we worked directly for UCOM under a general. So we had certain privileges that other, like even a higher ranking sergeant might not be able to tell me what to do as me for. So and even a lot of times when we did go on trips, we may not be in the field. They might put us up in a 5-star hotel. So I got to live, see the world, and I got to do it, really nicely, and to come back home and to have nothing and not know who to turn to. And the few people that I did talk to from my detachment, they didn't seem to understand it. They just thought, oh, you'll be okay. And I'm like, no, I'm not okay. I'm drowning. I don't hold anything against them, but I think they really just didn't understand that I didn't have a lifeboat. Because even when I went to the military, remember, I stayed in a 6-bedroom house. By the time I did basic training, AIT, and then shortly after AIT, 2 months later, I went to Europe. When I came back, I didn't have a home. So my family home was shut down. So I came back to nothing now with a wife. And then so it was I would say it was very difficult. Very
So
difficult.
How did you start to reimagine and reinvent yourself?
Once I got to Orlando, I actually did start going to the VA. And that kind of helped me get on the right track and like kind of helped me deal with, because at the time I was dealing with depression, anxiety, and they kind of pointed those things out to me. And just knowing that kind of helped me, just knowing what's going on with me, because they even put failure to adjust. Like I wasn't adjusting well, but I'm like, I'm adjusting well. I came back to nothing, and it's hard. But so that was my first time trying to reach out to just the veteran community, and also we ended up staying in a shelter, but it was a Christian-based shelter sponsored by McDonald's. Very nice. Like you wouldn't think it was a shelter actually, and it was Christian based, and they had a lot of classes, faith-based classes, man. So just getting that connection back with God, honestly, and just going on by faith. I had to realize that, all I had was him at this point. And once I just kept doing that and kept doing what I was doing, and doors did start opening up for me down in Orlando to where I was able to provide for my family. Wasn't what I was doing in the military, but I started being happy just to have the basic things in life. Like I said, I came from having different stuff, 3-4 cars in the yard growing up, but so I was happy for my apartment. I was happy for the few friends I had. I was happy for the clothes on my back. Like when I came back from Germany, I had like a walk-in closet full of clothes, both sides, all of my clothes, But after a while, even when I lost the apartment, I lost all of that. So I was just starting to be happy for the little things in life and being grateful and really humbling myself.
Well, like you said, before we got on, you said you just got finished listening to the episode with David Meltzer, and he talks about gratitude so much because gratitude and anger can't occupy the same space. You can't have gratitude and also be angry. So it's kind of like pick which one.
Yeah.
So how did you, start using the skills that you learned in the military? How did you start using them in the civilian world? And did the stuff what did you learn from the military that has helped you become a vetrepreneur?
Basically, I think just the grit of being in the military I think it ingrains something in you, like that not that fortitude. Because even when I moved to Orlando, I didn't necessarily use my skill set right away. Like I worked in restaurants, I worked nights in restaurants, but even doing that, the ability that helped me out. Because I started as a busboy and I didn't like that, and I said that's not making enough money, so let me be a dishwasher. Let me watch that. So I had to be quick on my feet. I had to learn. I had to be a multitasking, that kind of thing. You had to think on your feet. Because even when I was in Europe, I got promoted twice. So I could be a leader to lead the people that were supposed to be leading me. That's why. So just having that mindset of we got to do this, being planned, organizing, and being able to talk to people and communicate effectively, man, I think that really what got me to where I am today. And really, I went back to, I necessarily didn't get in videography and photography, but I always had a love for computers. Like I had a computer in 1995, and most people in my neighborhood didn't know what a computer was. So once I got that stable environment, I was able to start to redevelop those skills, and I wanted to transfer that into the website building. So that, photography, videography, like I did writing and things of that nature already. So it seemed a natural fit for me.
But now, a lot of guys and girls, when they get out of the military, they write their resume, and it has a whole bunch of different nomenclatures and numbers, and the people that are hiring look at it, they don't understand it, so they just toss it to the side. So talk to us. How did when you first started looking at jobs in the civilian sector, how was it getting a job? Did you have to learn how to write a proper resume that'll get looked at, or did you just luck into a job?
I had to learn how to write a resume the right way, and that's again humbling myself, allowing people to teach me, and just saying, knowing what I don't know. Because like you said, 25 Victor sounds great. Combat camera production specialist sounds even better. And also just knowing to giving that brief description, like of what I actually did, showing those skills, the different skill sets that came along with that. Actually, I think is what gave people and gave me the opportunity and allowed me to, it wasn't just, you point a camera and click. There were a lot of different skills that came along with that. So making sure I listed those individual skills on my resume is what made me stand out. And then once I got in the interview, by me being a veteran, because I said, other than that, I never had a job before. So I had a lot, I never had a job. So I had to maximize that, everything I did in the military. And I just leaned into that, and people just being able to talk to people about my experiences really kind of opened the doors for me. Like I remember when because I moved back to Atlanta like 3 years ago, and I think the people, they liked my resume, but they were more wild about some of the stories that I told, just having a conversation like we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
So, and being able to just open up to people and being honest, about your situation and about what you're going on, but still being professional.
So
I
now,
think that's what really helped me out.
like you said, you had a computer back in '95. Back then, I think they had like gateway computers and stuff. It was just starting to come online, and nobody really knew what a website was. Everybody was using it to just chat on Yahoo or AOL. So, there wasn't a lot of website stuff. So, did you just start digging into what is a website? How do I, did you get into coding? How did you get into the whole website thing?
Well, when I first started, it was just me knowing what a computer was. Like I said, I always read books. Even as a child, I love science. I love technology. So when I saw a computer, I said, wow, this is the future. Even as a child, I knew it was the future. Because I would also design, like I would draw, write, I would prototype my own stuff. I was that kind of kid. Like I had a sketchbook and I would literally write everything out. So when I saw it, I said, wow, this is the future, man. I can't believe this. So it was amazing to me. I felt like it was an extension of oneself. Like when people ask you a question, now we say Google it. And I know back then it wasn't that much information, but just seeing what it can do. Like I like to draw. Even paint to me was amazing. I used paint, I would sketch things out in paint. So I really just dove into what a computer was and what it could do. And I knew the potential was there because like I said, I was always into technology. So I just.
But then you just, you went from there and you took it to another level. I mean, you got, what'd you say? You got like seven different.
Yes. Yeah. Certifications. Yeah. Still there with me? Let me see. I'm having trouble hearing you. I believe we're muted. You're muted on your end.
Yep, I'm sorry. So you got different, I don't certificates. So you kind of went into the rabbit hole.
Yes. Because like I said, once I moved back to Atlanta 3 years ago and I got myself settled back home, and I said, it became more of a hobby again. I got a chance to just get in that stage where now I'm not working as hard every day. I'm not in the restaurants. I'm not doing this. I have time to explore. And so I felt like I was behind the curve because I knew what a computer was when I was a child, but then life hits and you got a family. But so I wasn't able to be as active in it. So like for the last 3 years, man, I just feel like I'm catching up and I'm loving every moment of it because I know what technology can do. Like, I believe that technology can do great things, man, for humanity. And I believe it can really help a lot of people if utilized in the right way. Like websites is just one of the things I want to do, but that's just the start. But I know the potential's there.
And, like a lot of people, like you said, in, early 2000s, if you wanted to start, a website, you had to learn code, you had to learn this and that. Now you can unfortunately, I got stuck a couple of times thinking, I can go to I'm not going to mention them because I'm not about to get sued. But, I can go to certain websites and they'll build I could build a website in like an hour and then I would get like no traffic. I spent like $400 and I was just friggin' miserable. So my friend, for now with my podcast, I have one of my great friends, William Maitre, actually built our website. And he did an amazing job. But like when we built ours, we went and looked at for the top 5 people in our niche, and we wanted to see what their websites look like, and we wanted to kind of like learn from what they're doing. And a lot of them, I see a lot of websites now. They're so busy that they load so slow, and Google is like, get out of here.
Bye-bye.
A lot of people think they want all the bells and whistles, but they don't realize that sometimes a simple but classy website is a lot better than one that has all the whistles and the videos and the sounds, right?
Yes, and that's what I kind of figured out too, because like you said, I seen some guys, like I do the same thing. there are people that do what I do, and I get to their website and I have a hard time just even navigating. They're like, you may be a better designer than me, but if I can't even navigate your website, what is the person that doesn't know nothing about websites going to think? Because like you said, it looks cluttered, and everybody's not as tech savvy as other tech savvy people may assume. So you have to come in with that mindset of thinking about the person that's going to be using the website, not how you think you want it to look. You have to come in from the user's point of view. So and that's why I kind of go ahead.
No, and I love it because a lot of people think, well, I'm not getting enough clicks, but their website is slow. So Google is actually ranking them really low because of how slow that they are, correct?
Yes. And like you use Google Console for that, and there's speed mobility tests, and there's certain things you can do to test that, but a lot of that just comes from basically just bad building, man. It's hard. There's a lot that goes into it, but I would just say just bad building, like doing too much access and not knowing what you're doing. And like if you're gonna do something like that, it needs to be on a proper server, it needs the proper hosting, because you can do those kind of things, but certain systems won't allow you to do it. They'll say it's okay, but at the end of the day, you're gonna lose ranking. People are not gonna see who you are, and that's just like throwing a blank piece of paper on the lawn, because there's billions of users out there. So you're competing with everybody. So you want to be seen. And if you're not doing those small things, it makes a difference. Like people don't understand that if you don't put your menu in a certain place, your navigation bar in a certain place, then people are not going to they may click on your website, but they're going to leave within 5 seconds. That's how long it takes for a person to, even if they get to your website, to say, well, I can't find this, on to the next person. So,
yeah.
so it's really
for
hit or
me,
miss.
Like as we know, one of my friends, he is in the tribe, Kennedy Page. He created our logo, so those are my guys. Those are people that I myself with. And I think that if you want to, you can't just put up a regular website right anymore. You actually have to, be competitive, and it has to look good. Like it has to, your brand colors has to look good. Your pop-ups, whenever you click this, it has to look professional. And and a lot of people, I think, like if you start a website and you're like, all right, I need to start making money. So they have these people, affiliates that come in and they have all these pop-ups. And then like if I go on a website and all of a sudden I see pop-ups, I'm off. I don't have time.
That's a rig. Yeah, and a lot of people, you may see that and you think, well, or maybe I'll catch a virus, or maybe this. So those are a lot of things. You want websites. Every website should be built with a goal in mind. Like my websites in particular, they are lead capturing websites. They're informative. They're beautiful. They're easy to navigate. Everything is right there. They automatically connect with Google. They comes with local SEO. So it's everything you need. It's not too much. I can add the other stuff if you would like, but I want to give you what you need to be successful as a business owner. I'm not trying to oversell you or undersell you. I'm trying to give you value, something that's going to help your business grow.
So what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see new entrepreneurs make on their websites?
Something like what you said, branding, not having a proper tagline, having navigation bars in the wrong places, not having photos that are actually good enough quality, because it may look good on your iPhone, but when everybody's not on the phone, and yes, a lot of people do use phones, but you want to make sure that everything that you do, it looks the same on whatever platform you're on. So just that, I want to make sure it looks the same on a tablet, on an iPhone, on a desktop. If you want to blow it up and you put it needs to look the same. And a lot of people don't understand that too. And just having things where people can easily find them. Like one feature that I often put on my websites is I have it to where I can literally add a bar at the top. I can show you all of the things. You don't even have to scroll to the bottom. If you like it and you see it, there's my email, phone number, this, you click a button. You can communicate with me instantly like that. So just it's little small details like that people don't understand, that it makes a difference. Or like sometimes you're asking for an email before you even explaining what you're doing. Hey, sign up for my newsletter. Hey, I don't even know what this is yet.
Yeah.
So, and it's little small mistakes like that that could really make a difference.
All right. Now, I think like we were talking earlier about, a mom and pop, they might have a landscape company, and they're like, you know what? I don't need it. I'm a local landscaper, or I'm a local house painter, and I don't need a website. But then a lot of, like you said, 60% of the time, if I'm going to go out to dinner with my wife, I'm going to go to the restaurant, online. I'm going to go to the website. I'm going to check the stars. I'm going to check the reviews. And I think now we're doing it for almost everything,
Yeah.
So don't you think that even this mom and pop, stores and restaurants and stuff like that, they need to have a website?
100% definitely. Like I said, my grandfather was a business owner. His father before him was a business owner. So that's why I think about small businesses. So that, and having them left out of the loop for me is not okay. Just knowing that the world is going in a different direction, and I don't want those people to get left behind, because it's about credibility and trust. I can talk to you, but even if I have a phone conversation with you, immediately after that phone conversation, I'm getting on Google, Bling, or Yahoo. And if I don't see you there, I'm not going to do business with you. And that's everyone's mentality. And I'm trying to help, because a lot of the people that I tend to bump into are kind of maybe, I would say, 40 to 50ish range business owners. And they don't understand that. Like, word of mouth is great, and it's still the number one way to it's better than a website, but it's not all you need. Like, you can have a better product, you can have a cheaper price, but if they can't find you online, they will go to the next person. And that's just the reality of how things work in 2022.
Yeah. And I was that guy. I was that. I didn't believe that, this little box that we're talking through right now, is changing the world, and it is a new world. We are in the digital world. And I took a 12-week class on, what digital, what digital is. And I'm also taking a deep dive with my friend Russell Brunson from, ClickFunnels. So, because everything right now is through this little box that we have, and it's not going to end.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people,
No.
would think, well, the internet, it's not going to last. Well, I think most of our purchases start with a Google search, right?
Yes.
And nobody's looking on the 13th page of the Google. So if you're not on the first page of Google,
First page,
you're not even on it.
you're not even on it. Yeah. And there's a lot of other little things. Yeah, like that, being on the first page of Google. Like, there's a lot of people, they don't, like, Google will give you a free business profile, and a lot of people don't even know that.
Yep.
Like, I'll show them my Google. Oh, you're on Google, and they were like, yeah, you could be too. All you have to do is claim, and it's just little simple stuff. And it's, for me, I guess I'm 35, but to hear people say that, I'm like, you're gonna get left behind, and I know what it takes to be a small business owner. It's a lot of work. I'm doing it, so I know it takes a lot of work. It doesn't matter what industry it is. You put your blood, sweat, and tears into something, and you don't want to see it being ripped apart because the world is changing and you're not keeping up with the transformations that's happening.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of people don't realize, if they go to Google My Business, they can set up a Google site, something simple where just your name is there. Like for me,
you're there.
you're there. For me, I guess I go every day to Google, and I Google myself, because I want to see where I am, who am, if you Google me, do I show up? And I think a lot of people, they kind of think they do until they Google their business and they're on like the 18th page. Right?
Yeah. Yep. So, and that's another thing. Go ahead.
Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about, website SEO, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, website SEO, search engine optimization, is basically a way of it's the way of, Google is the platform, and it's one of the main platforms. But basically, it's a way of letting those platforms know who you are. You're speaking their language, so that they're going to rank you higher because, hey, I understand their algorithms. algorithms, and they're going to say, hey, I understand what he's saying. It's making a lot of sense. This is good information. More people should read this. And it's that simple. So it matters what words you use, what order you use them in, and make sure you're big. So, and that's, it's, not to get too complicated, but it's really simple as that. You're speaking the computer's language so that it understands you. So that's going to boost you up higher. Because if you just put some out there, it's going to look at it and say, well, this is some random information. We're going to put it because we have to, but it's not important.
Yeah.
So it's a way of allowing you to communicate with that.
And a lot of people don't realize that, Google is the #1 search engine and YouTube is the #2 search engine. And they're both owned by Google. So,
yes.
Yeah, there's something to it. So now for the last couple of minutes, let us know, tell us what you're doing, what you got going on and how we can support you and your business.
Well, right now, I'm still building websites. I'm actually working on another certification. I want to go ahead and get my UX design certification from Google. So I'm doing that right now as well, man. Just building my client list. I'm literally going out into the community. I got flyers with QR codes and handing out, just letting people know who I am. I've been in the digital world, but as a entrepreneur and entrepreneur, I understand that there's footwork to need to be made as well, because I want to make an impact on my community. And I'm looking to also try to get to the point where the more clients I get, I want to be able to actually provide tablets for the youth and underserved. I want to be able to do that because I want to make sure that they're not left behind either. Because I know a lot of people, just being in my own community, honestly, in the African-American, Latino community, a lot of people see a computer or a phone as just a source of entertainment when they don't understand that everything under the sun is right in the palm of your hands. If you want to be something, you can be it because of this technology. So I want to make sure they're aware of that. And I want to be able to give back more. So the more clients I get, the more I'll be able to give back. And so those are the things that I'm really working on right now. And I just started a new service with my websites as well called Online Reputation Management, which has a feature. Even if you don't get a website from me, I can give you this feature that will allow you to control how your reviews are seen and received to the world. As I can go in a little bit. So it kind of you got that 4 or 5 star rating, my technology is going to help you keep that 4 or 5 star rating. So I just got into that, and I think that's something that is very valuable.
And, a lot of business owners, like for me, being a podcaster, I rely heavily on reviews. I rely heavily on, 5-star ratings. And a lot of people that are business owners, and I've seen it a lot of times, they don't ask for reviews. And I'm like, well, if you want to get ranked higher in, say, with Google SEO, the more reviews, the more 5-star ratings you have, the more they're going to rank you. And it doesn't cost somebody to leave a review or to rank your business. But I think 60 to 75% of people, business owners, don't ask their friends or ask their customers for reviews.
Yeah, and you're right about that. And all it takes is a simple email, a text, or even sometimes like a video is very popular now. Just, hey, you got a moment? Because I actually did this for my fiance. She started a catering business, and we did it last summer. We did a couple things to see how it go, and we were literally, hey, would you mind giving us a shout out? And boom, we put it on our Instagram, and it was just that simple. It took 5. If you're giving great customer service and quality service, people don't mind. They would enjoy it. They love to do it, and people don't understand the value of that. Like you said, not having those reviews and rankings on Google, that's just making your whole thing worse for you at the end of the day. And it's right there.
Okay, so how do we find you? Is there a website we can go to? How do we get in touch with you?
Really simple. rldigital.net, and my email is ronald_qualityservice.com.
Okay, so now I normally don't ask this question only to certain people because you're a man of faith. I'm a man of faith, and I hope that I'm not overstepping my bound. But we live in such a world right now where people are struggling, and they don't have any peace. And for me, I find that when I draw nearer to God or Jesus Christ, which is my Lord and Savior, I feel more peace. So if somebody's out there right now, and they're not having that peace, what is something they can do to get closer to him? Because I believe that, you know, they say that if you don't feel close to God, you're the one that moved, and that he's always there for you, and he's always there. You know, he's the same as he was yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So if somebody's struggling with their faith and want to find peace, what is something they can do in the next 24 hours to find a little more peace in their life?
And I will give you a really, just open up to God, because at the end of the day, what I realize, we are all humans. To be a human is to err. To be a human is to sin. To be a human is to make mistakes. But he understands. Just believing that he understands. He's not going to judge you. And once you start talking to him, the act of talking, because everyone has things in their mind that they say, well, I'll never tell another soul. Once you give it to God, you'll find that peace. Give it to him. If you can't give it to another human being, you give it to him, because he's going to redeem you. He's going to forgive you. He's not going to judge you. He's not going to shame you. He's not going to put it on Facebook. He's not going to put it on Instagram. He's not going to call your mom or dad. So just give it to him. Give him your burdens, because that's what he's there for. And I guarantee you'll feel better if you have an honest conversation with God. And that comes with you have to be honest with yourself first. But if you can be honest enough to have an honest conversation with him, you'll start feeling better.
Amen. I love it. So, guys, I want to thank the Warrior Council. I want to thank Marshall for giving me this platform, for be able to tell veteran stories. If you know anybody that you would love to hear their story, leave a comment below. Tag them. You know, maybe we'll have them on the show. We can talk to them about it. And like I said, if you are a business owner or you want to become a vetrepreneur, the first thing I would do would be join the Warrior Council. I don't make any money off of it, so I'm not saying I actually pay every month to be a Warrior Council member. So I'm not making any money off of it, but it's actually really 10x'd my business just in the last month. So if you're a business owner and you're a veteran, you definitely join Warrior Council. Brother, I just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful and humble for your friendship. And I can't wait to see what you got coming up next, because you're just doing some amazing things. You're getting ready to go on a nice trip with your kids. And I think that God's really working in your life. And I think you're about to blow up. You're about to take it to the next level.
Definitely. And I appreciate you having me. It's been an honor. And I consider you someone that I trust, and almost like a role model and a mentor myself, because you bring real value to the world. So I really appreciate you, and you keep doing what you're doing.
All right, brother. So, guys, like I always end with this quote by Mrs. Oprah Winfrey. She said, if you want to help yourself, reach out and help others. So, guys, that's all I want to say. And remember, vertical momentum, the only way to go is but up. All right, guys, I'll catch you tomorrow. I love you guys.